On March 11, 2011, an earthquake with a magnitude of 9.0 hit Japan. It triggered a massive tsunami that caused the worst tragedy for the Japanese since World War II. The damaged power plants in Fukushima were the greatest problems. Although there is a little chance that the plant reactors will overheat, the problem lies with the leaked radiation. As a result of the nuclear leaks in Fukushima, radioactive cesium was discovered in tap water. Radioactive cesium and iodine were also found in the soil, and in addition, radioactivity of fish caught in the area has also increased, making it impossible to trade. As you can see from the map, the radiation can be spread to the other areas of the world through wind and rain. According to the media, the way a person can contract radiation sickness can be through being exposed directly to the radiation itself, eating contaminated food, and being exposed to people who has been in the affected area. The media also states that iodine pills, salt, and face masks can help ward off the radiation. Because of the radiation scare, Japanese restaurants are now avoided, and popular Japanese supermarkets that are once loved are now feared. So, the rule in everyone's head now is, no Japanese stuff, because it's dangerous. But is that really necessary? Some people go as far as to avoid touching stuff made in Japan, and that is pretty far. Here's how the people react to the scare. In Japan, citizens are recommended to stay at least 50 miles away from the damage, and to keep the windows closed and stay at home, wearing medical face masks when they leave for the open. Surprisingly, they are staying relatively calm. In Korea, one of the closest neighbors of Japan, they closed down schools on rainy days in fear that the rain contained radiation. In contrast to the relatively calm Japanese citizens, many Americans on the West Coast who are ironically much further away freaked out and made a rush to pharmacies, where potassium iodine pills were described to be flying off the shelves. In order to confirm whether there's a cause for concern, there is nothing like good clean facts to clear things up. In truth, radiation sickness is actually pretty rare. Radiation levels are measured in millisieverts. It usually takes about 1,000 millisieverts of exposure for a typical person to be stricken with radiation sickness. A typical worker at the plants are exposed to 250 millisieverts of radiation annually. Although it is not enough to cause radiation sickness, it is an increase to the risk of cancer, and the worker himself do not expect to live very long. 4,000 millisieverts of exposure is considered a fatal dose. A person exposed to this amount of radiation is 50% likely to die. At 6,000 millisieverts of exposure, it is almost certain death. But all those are very high levels of radiation exposure. Doctors say that there is a definite rise in radiation levels. However, it would need to rise much higher before it's even close enough to causing radiation sickness, even in areas 150 miles away from the damage. As you can see from the picture, an X-ray scan causes only about 0.05 millisieverts of radiation, and that is many times more than the minuscule amount of radiation coming through the air. And thinking logically, the Japanese do not get their fish from that one area. There are other fishing places where safe fish are found. Health experts and scientists are actively testing food, but admitted to be doing so mostly out of the fear of lawsuits and accusations if they don't appear to be diligent. Doctors also state that there are thousands of times more radiation used in treatments than there will ever be coming to the States through the air. So in conclusion, the average American has nothing to be afraid of. So go enjoy all the sushi you want. Stop wasting your money on drugs that are more likely to damage you than the almost non-existent amount of radiation that might make it over. And remember that this is yet another example of how the media plays up the attention of a case, making it seem far worse than it actually is. Other examples include the SARS, H1N1, H5N1, and swine flu epidemics, caused through the fear of hyped up people. So be at rest. You are relatively safe if you are a few hundred miles away, and very safe if you're thousands of miles away.